Hey guys, welcome to Ecclesia number 11. Um, it's been 3 weeks since we last met, so hopefully we can catch up on several things. We have accomplished quite a bit. We also have some news about where things are at on mainnet, the apps, and of course, some of the issues that we have been talking about on the weeklies. So, what I would like to start with, I know you guys have some questions. I believe. Let me look at the questions. Oh, there are not that many actually. There's like about 5 questions. Okay, so I don't know if I'm live yet or not, but if somebody can message me on chat, that'll be great. And then I can get started on the issues. All right. Okay, great. Okay, I'm live. Okay, so let's go through a couple of things. I want to show the activities that we are currently doing so that you guys can get a feel for what we're working on a daily basis. So this is the commits that are happening as we speak. So, like for instance, there are commits to the iOS app. There are commits to the backend app. So there are a number of commits that are happening on the private apps that you're not visualizing on a daily basis. As you can see, this is all the commits that are happened over the 9 hours. Obviously, there are more throughout the day, 12 hours. As you can see, it fills up the whole page. So there are a lot of commits. Now, what happens is that with these commits, the system tests get activated, and it takes time for the tests to go through. And sometimes what happens is there's only so many runners that we have for parallel system tests, and sometimes things get slowed down. So if you look at this is the all the issues tab where we consolidate all the issues, whether it's on a private repo or a public repo. And as you can see, there are about 74 remaining. If you go to this board, it tells you right where some of these issues are supposed to be closed, like 11 issues supposed to be closed, but they're not because it's still going through system tests, and system tests typically take between an hour to hour and a half. We're trying to streamline it, but it's not simple because it's a large system test that we do, and these system tests takes time. So when you're trying to merge one of these things that are done, it takes a while. And so let's say 10, some of them are, they have to be done sequentially. So that's why some of these issues, even though they're done, they're taking some time to close. Now, there are 74 remaining. Some of them have moved to the next sprint, which is the current sprint that we are on. So I expect, so basically there's about 50 remaining issues that we need to close by the end of the month. We're going at a clip of 25 issues now. Assuming that we don't have additional issues, we should be good to close most, if not all of them, by end of March. So then we need to decide, whether we release the mainnet then, or should we do additional testing. In terms of the active set, so we need to basically, to release the mainnet, we need to consider a couple of things. How long do we test it on active set? How long do we test the apps on the active set or on demo network? So the first thing is that we will release the apps. The apps are in a good shape. They're in a good state. In fact, I'll show you how we're testing. Right now, we're testing the apps. So this is a Cypress test that what we are working on right now, which is kind of the final thing before we release the app. The reason we are doing it this way is because we don't want issues to come up when we release the app, and there could be some silly issues that we should have tested before we released it, or something that broke based on the release. So that's why what we are doing is making sure that that we have these tests done so that when we release the app, it's functional. So as you can see, this is an automated test, and it's going through the app. As you can see, it's automated. So it will go through all the functions that it should work, and then we know that it's, and then we can basically freeze that particular release when we have it on the production network. So you can see that it's going through the login, and then it's gonna, this is the file, upload file, then it's gonna go through uploading files and testing all the file operations and so forth. I don't want to go too much on that because you will soon see it. The other thing we're doing for the apps is we're gonna announce, we'll do a PR release for at least the Vult app, because it's such a flagship product for us. That's something we will do a peer release so that everybody is aware of it and everybody gets to talk about it. So this is something that you can talk to your friends about and try it out, share pictures and things like that. So we will do a PR release for Vult, and we'll also do that for Chalk. So that's what I wanted to kind of share in terms of so this is what I wanted to share in terms of where we are with the issues. We have about 50 issues that we need to work through till the end of the month. We expect to complete them by the end of the month. And we're also doing a load test in parallel. We need to merge several key features into the code this week. One of them is the transaction fee, which is a pretty big PR. It's taken probably 2 months to do it. So it's been worked on for the last 2 months. So some of the PRs are pretty big. Some of the issues that you see on the list are pretty big and takes a while to close. The other one is the blocks management for charters, so that we expect to close. There are a couple of others that we expect to close as well this week. So this week is kind of critical in terms of solidifying and all the features that we have been working on. And we also want to solidify the active set bring up. So this week we want to do that, and then next week we need to decide whether we bring up the active set next week or the week after. So that's something will play into our decision making this week, depending on how this week goes in terms of merges, because we want to merge all the code, then bring up the active set, and then do load testing on the active set. So that's the current plan. The apps are expected to be released next week. We'll do a press release on that next week. As the assumption is that it will pass all these Cypress tests that we are working on. These are code that we have to write that automates all of this testing, which we have been doing manually. So again, Cypress test, we can write as many test cases, but the current plan is to have at least enough test cases to cover most of the basic operations that you do with the app. We have most likely we're not going to cover the corner cases, but we will cover most of the basic operations for all the apps. And then we'll start releasing the app. The last app that will be coming out would be Chalk. So it'll be Atlas, Bolt, most likely Chimney first, and then we will have Vult and Blimp. And the last one would be the Chalk. So that's the current plan. I think I talked about, let's see, the issues, active set, apps, apps release. So active set likely next week, depending on all the merges. Apps next week, based on Cypress tests. Issues, we plan to close all of them by this month. Again, load test is part of that. So if we close issues and stuff, load test is happening in parallel. And then, the apps, the other aspect of the apps is that some of the apps are waiting for system tests to be completed so that the data is consistent throughout the different apps. So if I do something in one app, it should reflect on another app. The data needs to be consistent. So that's something we're doing in terms of system tests. So those are the ones that I wanted to touch on. Now, the question is, when do we release mainnet? So the mainnet release will probably something we will have more clarity on after we go through the merges that's happening this week, and next week we'll release the apps if everything works the way it should work, and the active set bring up is great, next week, then we'll have a lot more confidence in determining whether we should release mainnet right after we finish all the fixes, or should we wait a week or so. That's the decision we will make probably March 31st. We'll decide should we go or not. Again, as I said, there are about 50 issues, but those are, I would say, not critical ones. The critical ones are going to be baked in this week. There could be one or two issues that could, that would need some testing before March 31st and to be part of mainnet. So those are that's the update on mainnet. We are also working. So on the marketing side, we are working with hackathon partners. We're lining up hackathon partners. We're also lining up influencers to talk about our apps. Again, we want the influencers to talk about the app in a genuine way, not essentially talk about our coin. It's we want to talk about the utility of the apps. We want them to talk about how you could use ZCN to buy and buy storage, and also stake for storage as a provider, and use all of these apps. So that's and then we will also have some press coming out about the apps. So these are essentially going to be aligned as we release the apps next week, and then and we are also talking to security audit companies. The big ones, basically. Well, I would say everything in crypto is small, but relatively speaking, they are the named crypto companies like CertiK, QuantaStamp, Hacken. Those are the top three security companies. Again, we don't expect them to find bugs because we know more about our product than they do, but we want them to be part of our ecosystem, because if somebody were to build on Zus and they want to do a security audit, then they can have Hacken look at what they have done, or the CertiK look at what they have done and audit it. So it's to bring their knowledge up off of our platform so that they can start a security business on our product. So it's a good thing for them. It's a good thing for us because it gives us awareness. across other platforms. So that's something we're starting to engage with these security companies. There are basically three of them that we're gonna potentially work with, and then yeah. So we talked about hackathon, we talked about press release, we talked about influencer videos, and then we have security audits that we're gonna be doing, and of course, we're gonna do a couple of events or webinars on LinkedIn on how people can utilize Chimney or Blimp to provide storage and also to back up their data on a decentralized S3. So those are events that we'll have to capture leads to help us talk to them about how they can use our apps to be part of our ecosystem. So that's on the marketing and business development front. And that's pretty much all I have in terms of what we plan to do in the next few days leading up to March 31st. All right, so now I'll go through the questions. I believe we have some questions. There's not that many actually. There's only 5 of them. So let me go through them. The first question is, how long after the mainnet launch do we get Zus.Network website to use Zus? It'll be a nice marketing tool. This is a good question. Absolutely. We want to. So one of the things I forgot to mention is that for Hackathon, we are going to be doing a sample app, but we have a sample iOS app, sample Android app, so that people can develop mobile apps using Zus. We also will have a sample website and a sample web app using our JS SDK. So, and in one of those, the website, we plan to show them how they can host the website on Zus, and that is one of the things that we will focus on during our early hackathon days. We will ask people to basically put their website on Zus. So there are 2 ways you could do it. One is just the assets on Zus. The other is to do the whole website on and host it on Zus. So those are the 2 things that we'll focus our initial hackathons on before we get to developing apps on Zus, and then hosting the app on Zus as well. So I think there are things lined up for us in terms of what we want to do using Zus. Second question. Can you share your thoughts about Zus and quantum resistance? Regarding quantum resistance, we BLS is not quantum resistant, and I don't think the computers will be there in terms of quantum resistance until probably 2035. So we have a good 10 years before we get there. So we'll sort it out before then, and we will do an update. Just like any protocol, we will do either an update or a hard fork. So depending on how things, how we can update our chain. So, and this is a problem. Quantum resistance is a problem for a lot of chains. It's I think there's only 1 or 2 chains that are quantum resistant, but most of them are not. So they all need to upgrade. So I don't think we'll be alone in doing it. So we'll have good company, and we have some time. So it's not a priority for us. But good question. Yeah, absolutely. Third question, Zus has recently been delisted on Bitfinex. Are there efforts to reverse this? So we generally, don't worry about exchanges listing us or delisting us. And we generally don't want to get involved in that, in particular because there are regulatory reasons why we don't want to get involved in that. because for whatever reason, SEC doesn't like it, and we want to stay on the good side. We don't want to basically we don't want to encourage promotion of currencies on listing. If they want to list us, or if ambassador wants to take it on them to promote that on Bitfinex or have them list us on Bitfinex, is up to them. And and frankly speaking, all our listings have been done by the exchange themselves. We don't go to them. We didn't encourage them to do it. We and it's up to them, to list us, and it's primarily based on volume. Lists. If you look at all the exchanges, they derive their revenue based on volume. And now the question is, how will volume grow? Well, when we go to mainnet and if there's significant interest, which there should be because we have all these apps that can do wonderful things in real life. So the expectation is that there will be enough volume that most of the exchanges will list us automatically. We don't have to do anything. I mean, a question you guys should ask is, how did Ethereum get on all these exchanges? That's because it became useful, and hopefully we don't have to do anything to get on any exchange. It'll happen organically. Question 4: there has been some concern of crypto audits not being trustworthy. Have you decided who's doing the audit for Zus? Any thought on this? Yes, I think I touched on it. We're talking to 3: CertiK, QuantaStamp, and Hackathon. They're the top 3, and they are reasonably trustworthy. Again, I think they cannot uncover bugs. If you're looking for them to uncover bugs, they probably won't be able to. They can provide some third-party verification of what we have covered, because we have a number of tests. So if they want to include additional tests then that we haven't thought of, then we will include them. But I don't expect them to find bugs right off the bat, because they're just learning about our technology. There are a couple of we have Solidity smart contracts that they can take a look at and can provide valid, very good feedback, because they've been doing Solidity for a long time. And those are smart contracts based on our token bridge. So they can look at that. And they can definitely look at the smart contracts that we have for our Chalk app, basically deploying NFTs. So they can definitely audit those, because those are pretty standard Solidity smart contracts auditing stuff that they already do. Now, with regard to auditing our smart contracts on our chain, they will require a lot of assistance from us, and it's a more learning effort for them. In terms of auditing our blockchain, that's even a harder effort for them. So we will walk them through all of that and basically show them what we are doing in terms of tests, and then they can look at it and participate in the process of helping us, or help us add more tests, or basically learn about our system, so that they can then be very confident of our platform. And one of the things we want them to do is take a look at our test and kind of give validation of what we have done. And if the test coverage is very high, which we have for most of our critical element, then they will promote our platform to other dApps to use our platform for storage. And it's in their interest to do it, because then they can also provide security or audit services on people who build on Zus. So there is an element of business around our platform that they can provide a security service or audit service for them. So it's a good business opportunity for them. Okay, so last question. Can the team disclose any details about Nodely Store, a project that seems to be built on Zus? This is the first time I've heard of it, so I don't know anything about it. So I certainly the team is not aware of it, but I'll take a look and let you guys know. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. All right, so that's all the questions that I see, and unless there are some questions from the chat, I don't see any questions coming in from the chat yet. So until next time, again, I'm hoping that we will have our next AMA end of the month, and we will have hopefully some closure on all the issues, and we can look forward to mainnet release. Then we'll discuss basically when are we going to release mainnet for sure, because we want to close all these issues by end of the month, get all the apps out, get the active set up, and then finish all the load test and system test, and have the apps on working on both the demo network as well as the active set network. And then we'll decide if you're ready to go live after a few days testing, or we do a testing for a few more days. So that's the decision point we'll reach end of March 31st. And so our final AMA would we will talk about all that. So till then, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.